My son woke up crying. He never cries. 12 years old. Quiet. Like me. He stood by my bed, clutching his forehead, whispering, "Daddy, my head hurts." I sat up fast. It wasn't the pain in his voice. It was the red streak trailing from his nose, the dark spot on his shirt. I rushed him to the bathroom. Towels, water, pressure. But it kept coming. Then I saw it. On his pillow, blood. Not a speck, not a nosebleed, a stain. Circular, soaked, wrong. A father knows something was wrong. By 4:12 a.m. we were in the ER. By 5:10 a doctor pulled me aside. Not in a rush, not in panic, in warning. "Sir, this needs to be reported to the police." No explanation, just that look. The kind professionals wear when they don't want to say the thing they know. I didn't ask why. I already knew. I just hadn't admitted it yet. I drove to the station on autopilot. The nurse had offered to sit with my son. My wife had said she was too shaken. I said nothing. I hadn't said much in years. She liked it that way. I parked, walked in, sat down, filed the report. The officer asked me 2 questions. Was there any trauma? Anyone else in the house? I told him no to the first and yes to the second. My wife. She was always home, always awake before me, always said she liked mornings, said she liked to watch our son sleep, said it like it was sweet, but now it felt wrong. I remembered the way she brushed past me last week, how she pulled her hand back like I was cold steel, how she looked when she thought I wasn't looking. There's a distance you can feel before it's measured, a kind of silence that isn't empty, just planned. I thanked the officer, walked out, didn't drive home. I sat in the car and stared at my hands. They weren't shaking, not because I wasn't angry, but because I already knew what I had to do. I started small, pediatric files, accessed through the clinic's patient portal. Too many ER visits over the last year, all brushed off, accidents, clumsiness, always when I was away. But my son wasn't clumsy. He was careful, like me. I asked him questions, gentle, casual. "You remember bumping your head? Ever fall off the bed?" He shrugged, eyes down. Didn't lie, just didn't answer. I checked the security cams in the hallway, the ones she didn't know I had set up. Nothing recent, but 3 weeks ago, 2:17 a.m., she walked into his room, stayed 23 minutes, no reason, no blanket, no glass of water, just stood beside his bed, watched, then leaned down. I paused the footage there. I stared at her face, expressionless, not angry, not loving, just blank, like a mask she hadn't taken off. The next morning I found the note, tucked in my son's backpack, written in crooked, uncertain pencil, "Mom hurts me when you leave." I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I called a forensic specialist I once helped during a corporate lawsuit. Had him examine the stains and the bruises. Silent service, discreet. By Thursday, I had everything. Pressure patterns, force direction, non-accidental trauma, signs of intentional injury. I printed it, bound it in a folder, then waited. That night, she came home late, said traffic was bad, didn't ask about our son. I stood at the kitchen table, didn't speak, just slid the folder toward her. She looked confused, then afraid. She opened it, page by page. Didn't cry, didn't scream, but her hand trembled by the end. I waited until she looked up. Then I said, "I know." She started talking. Excuses, childhood trauma, stress, words meant to soften, to redirect. I didn't flinch, didn't blink, just stared at her like she was a stranger in my house, which she was. Finally, she whispered, "What are you going to do?" I reached into my pocket, pulled out a USB, placed it on the table. That's everything. The report, the footage, the handwriting match, already sent to the police, and your licensing board. She stepped back, hands over her mouth. Tears finally came. Too late. You'll never see him again, I said. Not loud, not angry, just final. Then I picked up the folder and walked out, with my son waiting in the car. That night, I watched him sleep, not to check on him, to remember who I was doing this for. The fear was gone from his face. No flinches, no curled fists, just breathing, steady, safe. I didn't cry. Not for her, not for what it cost. Some stains never come out, but they remind you what's real and what never was. She took his childhood. I took her future.